Welcome everybody to Toyota Car Care Talk. I'm Jeff Teague. This is Adam Newton, and we're going to give advice about service, repair, and maintenance of your car, truck, and SUV. This one should be interesting to a lot of people because you've just bought a new vehicle. What do you do now for service intervals? How do you know when to come in? What gets done at each of, let's say, the first 30,000 miles, the first visits?
Right.
Maybe you can tell people what they can expect at each service visit.
Yeah, I'm glad to. One of the good things about our cars nowadays, and almost every manufacturer has it, they have the little alarm clock that says maintenance is due. So it takes all the guesswork out of it. It tells you either by time or by mileage to come on in. We get that taken care of. First visit's typically just a rotate service. We're going to just pull the wheels off mechanically and inspect what's behind there. A lot of inspections go down in our services, and I think that's key to the process because a lot of people like to focus on the fact that it's just a rotate. However, we do so much more just to make sure that your vehicle is safe. But the first service is typically a rotate, and that's going to happen at the 5,000 mile mark. Our second service is going to be a rotate and your first oil change. And that's the big question a lot of people seem to have is 10,000 miles seems like an egregiously long time for an oil change.
It does sound like a long time. I remember when I first started driving, it was every 3,000 miles.
Right, yeah, and I took that in with my dad. He's like, hey, you've got to change every 3,000 miles. And that definitely had some validity at that point. But as oil technology has increased, the longevity of the mileage it can absorb has increased as well exponentially, to some cases up to 15,000 miles for some manufacturers. Toyota has theirs set at the 10,000 mile mark.
And that's because it has synthetic oil, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so at 10,000 miles, the Toyota book would say rotate and oil at 10,000 miles.
That's exactly right.
And of course, they would do inspections. Now, I hear about a multi-point inspection. What kind of things would they look at that maybe we would have no idea they're even inspecting?
Right. A big thing that we like to look at is suspension and safety items. We want to make sure ball joints are all solid. We want to make sure control arms are looking good. We really want to look the car over with a view to making sure that you can take it up the highway and do what everyone else is doing and travel at a decent rate of speed safely. Yeah. And that is key to it. We want a video as we inspect so that we can show our guests our circle of accountability, as we like to call it here, just proving what we see. And we don't expect, even that it's a new car, that it can be without flaw. We are obligated to make sure that even a new car is thoroughly checked, because anything built by people can fail. It's very rare, but we want to check every single car because all our guests matter very much.
That's an interesting way to look at it too. What about it, let's say 15, 20, 25, 30?
Right, and it just tends to repeat up until the 30 mark. We do have oil rotate at every 5 and oil at every 10 as set up by the manufacturer. Some of the little variances in that, we do recommend you align the car at about the 10 to 12,000 mark to make sure if you hit any potholes and it's changed the steering geometry a little bit, your tires don't scuff and wear too early. And occasionally, depending on the environment, you'll have filters or wipers that are included in the Toyota Care package. The filters are. The wipers are kind of like a need-based thing, because if you live on a muddy road, they go a little faster, obviously.
Okay, that makes total sense. Talk about the cabin filters, the air filters that you might have to change, and what's a recommendation? Now, granted, if you have pets, I imagine, or you live in a heavy pollen area like here, it might need to be changed or cleaned a little bit quicker. Can you tell us when you might look for those?
Yeah, a cabin filter is going to actually be fighting two different battles. The interior of the car, as far as you said, pet hair and dust and pollen, is one thing that it's going to filter out in small particulates to keep the air you breathe really nice and clean. The other battle that your cabin filter fights is it draws air from the outside of the car on the area we call the wiper cowl, just below the wiper arms on your car. And a lot of times if you park under trees and the little pollen pieces and the little leaves, they can actually find their way into the vent and get on top of the cabin filter. And that's just like having a pile of wet leaves on your cabin filter. It's not going to smell good. It's not going to perform well. So we look for that, let you know that we need to clean it out, and we replace the cabin filter as needed for that.
Okay, that's real interesting.
Definitely.
And it's kind of stuck to me. What do you tell, yes, the Toyota book says oil change every 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, and just kind of stay. Two different things. What if you don't drive a lot of miles and you might only get, let's say, 6,000 miles every year? How would that affect or alter your service schedule?
Exactly, and my grandparents are in that envelope right now where they have an Avalon that's only being operated about 1,200 miles a year. And the key thing I make sure my grandfather and grandmother know is that they need to change the oil at the year mark, because the oil can actually go bad because of the contaminants that get into it from the engine's burning process. It gets some level of contaminant into the oil. It's almost like frying a basket of fries and contaminating the cooking oil. You can fry several times, but if it sits there for a while, you need to go ahead and get it out. So at about the year mark, if you've only gone 500, 600, 1,200 miles, go ahead and replace your oil because it's starting to break down and lose its protective qualities at that time.
Okay, that's
Definitely.
really great. And then what about for the person who they've been a mechanic for 20, 30 years, they do it yourself, change your own oil, and they insist on 3,000 miles, that's when you should change your oil.
Right.
What do you have to say in that regard? It seems like it has beneficial properties for sure.
Right, and you know, over maintaining a car is only to the benefit of the vehicle. Toyota sets up their maintenance schedules on longevity and cost effectiveness, and you get longevity out of the intervals that they set up. It is solid and it will protect your car, but any additional services is like additional vitamins or additional exercise. It doesn't have any negative effects on the car. It can only be to the benefit. It can run at the 10,000. It runs happily, does well, but there's absolutely no harm in changing your oil early. I would say that if you want to be a do-it-yourselfer, make sure you buy a high-quality oil filter removal tool. That is going to be key to doing that yourself if you try that at home. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Okay, excellent. Hope that helps. If you guys have any questions about service, repair, or maintenance, keeping your car running smoothly, just leave it in the comment section and we'll try to answer that in future videos. Thanks guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And subscribe to Fred Anderson Toyota YouTube channel so that you can partake in Toyota Car Care Talk series. Thanks again. Thanks, Adam. You were awesome again.
Glad to help.
As always. All right, have a great day, everybody. See ya.
Take care.